Welcome to the OJP TFSC live discussion webinar on JustGrants and ASAP. Good day from rainy El Paso, Texas. If you're having any technical issues during the session, please contact me, Jamil Evans, right here in the chat area or at jevans@ojptfsc.org. To view live captions for this session, please click the link provided in the chat below. So let's start off with a little bit of housekeeping tips. Welcome. This live discussion webinar is being hosted by the OJP, the Office Justice Programs. If you have any technical issues during this session, please, again, just contact me, Jamil Evans, in the chat box below. You can access the information brochure and the FAQs with the links provided in the chat. To ask any questions during this session, please use the chat box on the right-hand side of your Zoom screen. In order to have the most accurate attendance, please use the chat box to tell us the number of people joining you on the call, including yourself. Everything except the Q&A discussion will be recorded. And again, live captions are available during this session, and you can access those by clicking the captions link in the chat. Since your feedback is so important to us, at the end of the webinar, we'll provide a link to a survey in the chat box so you can provide feedback. So before we begin, let's go over a couple of Zoom tips. On the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a microphone icon. To mute yourself, just click that icon and you will see a red slash. That's how you'll know you're muted. If you're not speaking today, please ensure you mute yourself to avoid any background noise or interruptions. To the right side of that microphone icon, you'll see a video icon. Just click it to start your video. To the right of those icons, you'll see a chat icon. Just click it to open your chat, and this is where you'll communicate with everyone on the platform today. So please just type in the chat box the last thing you ate for dinner. Great. You have the option to send us public chats and private chats. To send a private chat, just select the drop down in a To section and choose your recipient. And again, you can also choose to chat to everyone. Just choose the everyone chat that goes out to everyone. On the top right-hand side of your screen, you can change your view experience. You can go with the speaker view, where you can just see who's speaking at the time, or you can go with gallery view, which is kind of like the Brady Bunch grid. So let's meet our presenters. Our first presenter will be Stacy Kernesian. She's a training specialist for the Office of Audit, Assessment, and Management for the Office of Justice Programs. Stacy creates and delivers engaging training materials and facilitates formal and informal learning experience, including traditional e-learning, micro-learning, and instructor-led trainings. We'll also have DJ Neitz joining us. DJ is a training specialist for the Office of Audit, Assessment, and Management for the Office of Justice Programs. And he has over a decade of experience in creating and supporting research and training initiatives. We'll also have Kiana Teixeira. Kiana is a financial systems analyst for the Financial Systems Support Division for the Office of Chief Financial Officers. Kiana is currently managing the ASAP system for the DOJ along with her team. We'll also have Francis Mendez. He's a project director for the OJP TFSC. Francis has a background in law, social work, and business administration. Also joining us is Nicole Zamora-Nisbet. She's a financial specialist for the OJP TFSC, serving the Samoa, Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And last but certainly not least, we will have Janae Williams. She's a Senior Operations Specialist for the OJP TFSC with 5 years of experience working with survivors of crime before joining the TFSC team.
Good morning and welcome to the JustGrants session. My name is Stacey Kernison and I am with the JustGrants training team. I will be the moderator for today's discussion and it is great to have you here with me today. I also have DJ Nice who will help present as well. The purpose of today's discussion is to learn more about JustGrants and to address some of the questions that you may have. We want to ensure that you're off to a great start and have the tools needed to utilize JustGrants. Let's take a moment and to go over our today's agenda. In today's session, we will cover grant award modifications, which is also known as GAMs, financial reports, performance reporting, and lastly, we'll share where you can go for help as you navigate through JustGrants. Now let's get right into talking about grant award modifications or GAMs. A GAM is created to update the award details, but it is used only to modify a key fact or detail about the award. JustGrants focuses on true modifications to an award. It is not used for more routine updates to grant information that will not modify a key fact about the award details. There are 3 types of GAMs: project period extension, programmatic, and financial. A programmatic GAM is used to update changes in project scope or to gain prior approval for changes with programmatic costs and activities as determined by the DOJ Financial Guide. Financial GAMs are used to modify budget details or approve a budget that received a conditional clearance when awarded. There are 3 types of financial GAMs: budget modification, sole source, and budget reduction. GAMs are all started in the same basic way, but each has a specific field or subtypes depending on the information needed for the specific type of GAM. Users can enter information in the GAM, save it, and then return later to complete and submit. Once a GAM is submitted, DOJ reviews it and sends you a notification, either approved, denied, or change requested. The purpose of the GAMs is to update the award details. GAMs are used only to modify a key fact or detail about the award. It is not used for more routine updates to grant information that does not modify a key fact about award details itself. JustGrants focuses on the true modification of the award. GAMs are more limited to updating or changing award details and are not used to confirm compliance with requirements or deliverables. A user can delete a GAM before submitting it. Once deleted, it appears in the completed GAMs list as a resolved deleted GAM. After a GAM is submitted, it needs to be change requested from the DOJ reviewer to then be withdrawn by the initiator. Here are some things that are no longer processed as GAMs. Before, an entity would use a GAM to change the grant award administrator or authorized representative. Now, the entities will manage their own users and entity information in Diamond. Also, entities used to have to process a GAM to release a hold on funds. Now, that happens in a different area of JustGrants without needing a GAM. So now we're going to take some time and show 2 short demos. First, I will show you how to initiate any type of GAM. Next, I will show you how to do a particular type of GAM called the budget modification GAM. In the interest of time today, we're only going to demonstrate one type of GAM. As stated before, there are multiple types of GAM. For today, we will demonstrate how to initiate any type of GAM. And then secondly, I'll show you how to initiate a budget modification GAM. All GAMs are initiated from the Grant Award Modification tab of the Funded Award. Before this option is available, all of the required roles will need to be linked to the award. When you open the GAM selection drop-down menu, you will see 3 types of GAMs. When you select either programmatic or financial, a second drop-down will appear, allowing you to select a subtype. When you open a project period extension GAM, there are some validations that happen upon selection. Notice that in this case, the award is less than 30 days from the project period end date. Since this is the case, your grant manager will need to initiate it. Also, if a GAM is in progress, you will not be able to initiate a new GAM of that subtype until the one in progress has been resolved. So next, I'll show you how to do a financial GAM, which is also a budget modification GAM. There are some of the validations that happen upon selection. Notice in this case, the award is less than 30 days from the project period end date. Since this is the case, your grant manager will need to initiate it. Also, if a GAM is in progress, you will not be able to initiate a new GAM of that subtype until the one in progress has been resolved. So now we'll go over the second type of demonstration that I have here for you today. So here we're going to demonstrate one of the type of GAMs that's called the budget modification GAM. So each GAM, as I showed you before, has a subtype for the different selections. So we're going to select on financial, and then we're going to select the budget modification. Once you do that, you'll have a blue tab that you see there underneath the GAM selection financial that says create new GAM. That is what you're going to click on to get started. So here you're going to see your GAM is going to open up, and you will need to put in your cost on your categories for your budget modification. You'll enter in all of your dollar amounts for your other costs, your personnel, travel, equipment, whatever the case may be. And as you see, when you type in your numbers, the system starts to automatically calculate your numbers for you. So once you complete the first section, you also have your total project cost breakdown that you can put in those numbers as well. You'll notice that there is a link to the DOJ financial guide, and clicking this link will open the guide to the page that applies to this specific topic should you need any guidance. You can also enter justification within the field, and this is a text field. So if you have this information written somewhere else, you can then add that information into the justification field by copying and pasting. You also have your indirect cost rate agreement you can add as an attachment, and your GAM documentation. If you have any notes that are for your grant manager, you can add those in the text field that was below. Once you've completed, you hit submit, and you know that it has been submitted because you'll get the green bar that's at the top that says thank you. And now you got ready for the next steps for the budget modification GAM. So those are the steps that you have for the budget modification for the GAMs, and they work the same way for each type of GAM that we have. So once a GAM is submitted, it is sent to your grant manager for approval. The grant manager can deny the GAM or return it to you as a change request. If the grant manager approves the GAM, it is sent forward through an internal review process. The internal review varies based on the type of GAM and the managing office. If a GAM is approved, denied, or change requested during the internal review process, Both the grantee and the grant manager will receive notifications. Once a GAM has been approved, it is sent to the financial system and/or ASAP to update the award information. At that point, it can take up to 24 hours to update your funded award with the final information. So now I'm going to turn it over to DJ so he can walk us through a little bit about the financial reporting process within JustGrants.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Okay, so your financial manager is the person who focuses on your finances related to the grant. They're able to certify and submit financial information and complete all FFRs on behalf of your organization. An award must have a financial manager assigned to submit an FFR and must have a grant award administrator to submit closeouts and performance reports. If you're used to completing the SF 425, you will find that the web-based FFR in JustGrants is modeled after the structure of the OMB standard form. Financial managers may submit federal financial reports, or FFRs, 10 calendar days or less from reporting period end date until the due date. Once the due date passes, financial managers will continue to be able to submit a delinquent report. When it comes to editing and resubmitting an already submitted quarterly FFR, the financial manager can reopen the most recent report if the due date has not passed and can resubmit the quarterly FFR. Financial managers can reopen and resubmit a final FFR up to 90 days after the project period end date. Entity users must contact their awarding office to reopen and resubmit a final FFR beyond 91 days after the award end date. Funds are frozen 1 day after the due date if the report is not submitted. Funds are released once the delinquent report is submitted. JustGrants will collect the FFR and communicate with the ASAP account and will lock out a grantee if it is delinquent in submission. So here's a visual of when the FFR reporting periods happen for each quarter along with their corresponding due date. Please note, if the FFR is not submitted in time, then these are the dates the funds will become frozen. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of this screen right here, we'll leave it up just for a moment. Also, you'll be able to print out a copy of this after the session from the presentation. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back over to Stacy so she can walk us through the FFRs and JustGrants.
Thank you, DJ. So now let's go through a quick, well, this is a little bit longer than the other one. This is about 5 minutes long of just how to submit your financial report within JustGrants. So as it was stated, the financial managers will submit FFRs. All current FFRs will appear in the work list for the financial manager, so they are easy to locate. To complete an FFR, you're just going to select on the one that you're working at from your work list. You're going to click on the case ID, and this opens it in edit mode automatically. The first page of the FFR is read-only information that is pulled from the entity's profile. You want to verify the award number in the second entry and review the rest of the information for accuracy. You can select the Continue button at the bottom, or you can scroll back up to the top and select the Report Information tab to open up the next section. Either option will be okay. So once we go to the next page, we then see first our recipient account number, and this is an optional field. This is reserved for an identifying number assigned to the award by your organization. Next, we have the report type, and this will default to either quarterly or final, and depending on the date to which the period and it applies to. And you have your reporting date in numbers in the section step 9. You then can select your basis of accounting from cash. And then you can also view your project grant period and your reporting period here. So these are automatically put in, so you have the dates there in front of you. So now we'll go down to the next section for the transactions. And as you see, the DOJ does not use federal cash section for the report. So you'll see that these entries have been grayed out. You'll notice a red asterisk in the entry field for 10E. This is where you will need to complete this field because it is required. Anywhere you see within JustGrants a red asterisk means you have to complete that field. You cannot leave it blank or it'll kick it back to you. All the entries in this report are cumulative. So as you begin to put in your numbers, you'll start to notice on line 10G and 10H that the system will start to automatically to put those numbers together for you and generate numbers in the system. So you don't have to calculate those on your own. You then have your recipient share section where you can put in the total recipient share required and the recipient share expenditures. And you can put that information in and it'll calculate again for you. As you scroll down, you'll also have your program income for your sections there that you can put in your amount. And as you see, the total will automatically start to calculate on line 10O. And then after this section, you have your indirect expenses. And here you will need to click on the plus add item that you see there at the bottom. And when you do that, it'll populate fields below those sections, and you can select your type of rates. You can put in your actual rate number, the period from, and the period to, your base amount. Give it a second to catch up. You can put in your dates here, and then you can put in your base amount. And when you do put in your base amount, the system, again, will calculate it for you for your amount charge for the line 11E, the section 11E that you see here. So it'll automatically calculate that from you based upon what you put in the rate and the base. And then you can also add your federal share. And then you'll see on line 11G at the bottom, all of the calculations are totaled for you. So we kind of make that part easier. So once you're finished entering all of your totals, you can select the continue button at the bottom of the page, and it'll bring you to the last page of the report. You can use the additional information field to add any comments that you need to add. If you have this information written somewhere else, you can copy and paste the information into this location as well. So you can add any information that you would need for your grant manager to see for this section. You can also upload any supporting documents that you need to as well. And you can select it just like you would regular for any attachments. And then when you get to the bottom, you notice that the certification displays the information for the financial manager that is filling out the report. So who's ever filling this out, their name and email address and information will be here. When you click submit, you will see that the report moves to pending UFMS status. And UFMS is the DOJ financial system. All FFRs are validated in the financial system prior to being routed to the grant manager for review. And you will typically see the FFR in this status for about 24 hours. So that is the end of that demonstration for the financial reports. So once you submit your FFR, you will see that it's in pending UFMS status. The FFR is automatically routed to the United Financial Management System, which is UFMS, for validation prior to being sent to the Office of Chief Financial Officer for review. If the FFR is delinquent and funds are withheld, the hold will be released within 24 hours of approval. Please note that some grantees have reported that their FFR status has been stuck in pending UFMS for more than 48 hours or days. If this is the case for you, please contact JustGrants Help Desk for assistance. If your organization has had funds withheld and you have satisfied the conditions to the withholding removed, your grant manager will initiate the process to remove the withholding. Once they initiate the removal of withholding amounts, the update is sent to ASAP, and upon DOJ approval, the ASAP will typically release the funds within 24 hours of receiving the update, and you should be able to draw down your funds again at that point. So now let's go into performance reporting. JustGrants is now a seamless process for financial and performance reporting. Performance reports are completed and submitted by the entity's grant award administrator. You are notified when performance reports are ready for submission. They can be opened, edited, and submitted from your homepage or from within a funded award. Once submitted, your grant manager is notified and the reports are reviewed by the DOJ personnel. Here's just a snapshot of the functions that make JustGrants more seamless throughout the process. On this screen, you will see this table highlights general quarterly, semi-annual, and annual calendar dates for performance reporting throughout the grants award lifecycle. This provides you with a general schedule for performance report frequency and due dates. So you can screenshot this as well, or wait till you get a copy of the presentation and print this out for your references. Now let's take a moment and walk through performance reporting. This demo is a little bit longer because it has more steps. So the requirements for performance reporting are specific to the solicitation upon which the award is based. Performance reports will look different from award to award. Also, performance reports from awards that have already active prior to the JustGrants system are handled a little bit differently than the reports that will be handled for the new awards. In this demonstration, I will show you how to complete a performance report, a progress report, which is completed by uploading a report to JustGrants. I will also show you how a performance report will be handled when the solicitation, application, and award are all created within JustGrants. As time passes, you'll see more of the second type of reporting and less of the first. So your performance reports appear in the work list for the grant award administrator assigned to the award. The best way to begin is to just select on the case ID link for the report you are planning to submit. The performance report will default to regular or final, based on the reporting period for the report. Because the performance report is associated with a particular time period, you would not usually change this. If the award is being closed out early, you can make the change to final. So underneath the type of performance, you have the regular button there and the final. And if you click on final and you want to change it to a final report, the system is going to ask you, are you sure? So once you click on that button, a confirmation section will come up, and you'll want to make sure that you're going to say that, yes, this is my final report, or no, I made a mistake and didn't mean to click on that. So you can click cancel if that's the case, or if yes, it is final, you click confirm. So we're going to click on cancel because we're going to go back because we're not doing a final one today. You may see two different ways to complete performance reports. In general, awards that are already being managed in JustGrants came online will need to have the performance reports uploaded as an attachment. You will know that you need to upload it as an attachment because the question set section will be empty. So here you can enter comments into the comments field that maybe like I'm uploading my report, so that way the case manager will know. And you can copy and paste this information in there as well.
And Stacy, if I can jump in here for a minute, I was just informed we got about 5 minutes left for our presentation with JustGrants, and I'm not sure if we can kind of skip ahead a little bit here to kind of show some highlighted stuff.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
So once you do put your comments and your attachments in, you can have that here. So I'm going to scroll quick so you can see that's just the attachments being put in. And then once you've completed that, you can submit it. And then the second set that you'll see is that the way you'll know that if it's a new, with the JustGrants system new, you'll see that the question set is actually a part of this here. So as you go through the question set, they may look different depending on the type of solicitation that you have. So it may be different from the questions that you see. Everyone may not have the same set of questions. And as you go through the questions, you'll see certain questions that have places where you may have to fill in the blank, or if you select on one answer, it may populate another set of questions. So you would just go through that entire section to complete all of those. So I'm going to end this demo just for sake of time and kind of go through the more important things. So DJ, do you want to just kind of run through these ones real quick? And then
sure. I'll jump back in here. That sounds great. All right, so performance report approval process. Once the performance report has been submitted, it'll be routed to your grant manager. Currently, there's no way to change or request your performance report in JustGrants, so your grant manager will communicate with you by email if additional information is requested. Once the performance report is submitted by the grant award administrator, it is routed to the grant manager reviewer for approval. And then the grant manager reviewer only has the option for approval of the performance report. If additional information is required from the grant award administrator, the request for additional information will need to be made outside of the JustGrants system and resolved by uploading attachments. And then once all additional information has been provided, the grant manager reviewer will select the approve button to resolve the performance report. So when it comes to deliverables, currently the deliverables section is included in the performance management tab, but allows you to view all deliverables associated with award conditions, monitoring issues, GAMs, and other features. Deliverables are classified according to the category type selected for the file when you've uploaded it. And then when it comes to uploading deliverables, you upload a document to JustGrants, you navigate to the Performance Management tab in the Funded Award. Use the Add Attachment button in the Deliverables section to begin. And then you either drag and drop the file or use the Select File button to locate the file you want to upload. And once the attachment has been located, select the Open button. Select the deliverable category and enter a comment indicating the nature of the deliverable. If it applies to a performance report or is in response to a monitoring issue, be sure to provide information indicating which issue or performance report the deliverable is associated with. And then award compliance deliverables have a separate category. So once the deliverable has been uploaded, it appears in the deliverables section with a link to open the document. All users with access to the funded award are able to view the deliverable. This applies to users within your organization as well as your grant manager and other DOJ personnel that are part of the review and approval process. And then lastly here, we have several resources that are going to be really helpful when navigating JustGrants. The few tools here. First of all, make sure you're checking your emails for updates and information about JustGrants. And if you are not getting emails, if you go to the link at the bottom of the screen, and it's also been placed in the chat, you can click on the news and updates section, and it'll bring you to a place where you can sign up for emails. You can also utilize the JustGrants training support email for any questions that you may have along the way. And so one of the other questions we get often is that, well, will there be more trainings on JustGrants? Well, there's a lot of training material available on JustGrants training website. And this is what the JustGrants training website looks like. You can find a wealth of information about JustGrants at the justgrants.usdoj.gov. But we've been focusing mainly on the training link today. Applicants experiencing difficulties with grants.gov or sam.gov should contact the grants.gov customer support hotline or the SAM help desk to report the technical issues and receive a tracking number. And applicants experiencing difficulties with JustGrants should contact the JustGrants support desk at justgrants.support@usdoj.gov or the phone number that's listed here. They're available Monday through Friday between the hours of 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday, Sunday, and federal holidays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We've placed a few of the links in the chat. If you need to reach out to the help desk, here are a few tips to help speed up your service request process here. So you can just kind of take a look over those. Make sure you're putting in as much detail as possible with the issue that you've encountered. So before we wrap up here today, here are some guidance for a little bit more help. There's an FAQ available for you to review that may have some questions asked here today. The link for the resources related to the application submission, roles matrix, grants.gov, and sam.gov are linked within this presentation. And here are a few other additional resources to help you as you work your way through the application. Okay, well, this ends our particular section of this session. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Janae. Good morning, everyone. So let's talk ASAP. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so ASAP. Think of ASAP kind of like an ATM machine, right? So ASAP is the system in which DOJ is using a shared service with Department of Treasury in order to allow us to give you access to your grant funds, right? So think of it like an ATM machine. Us as the agency, we authorize funds or add funds into your account in ASAP, and then you then can come into that account and draw down those funds. Next slide, please. So let's just talk a little bit about the roles for ASAP. I do want to point out, we often get this question if your roles for ASAP have to be the same or linked to the same users or roles in JustGrants, and the answer is no. They can be the same people or they could be different people. Also, all of these roles can be assigned to one particular person, or they could be assigned to multiple people. It's completely up to your organization in which how you wish to manage your ASAP access. So the initial role is called the initial point of contact. And this is the person that's kind of similar to the entity administrator in JustGrants. Again, doesn't have to be the same person, but they are responsible for assigning all of the roles in ASAP and completing the enrollment. And initially, this person is the SAM eBiz POC. Okay, that's who this enrollment email is going to go to. And then that person can either designate all of these roles to themselves, which we do encourage for initial enrollment completion. However, again, they can assign them to different people. So the point of contact, again, adds users or can modify users in the future. The head of organization approves changes to users and their roles. The financial official is responsible for entering the banking information and making sure that banking information is correct. The authorizing official adds the payment requester and an inquirer role. The inquirer is basically a read-only role. So if someone just needs access to run reports or to look at data, that's the role that they can be assigned. The payment requester, of course, is responsible for initiating any payment requests or returns. And then, as I mentioned, inquirer only can run reports, but they are not allowed to have any other role. That's the only role that kind of has a segregation of duties where you're not allowed to have any other role. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to go over a few steps for completing enrollment. My understanding, majority of you have either already completed your ASAP enrollment or are in process with working with a member from our team to complete your enrollment. However, I will kind of go over a brief highlight of the enrollment steps. So initially, that SAM-IB's POC, which is designated as the ASAP POC, will receive an email. They'll receive 2 emails from ASAP, and they kind of look like this. It is a little confusing or misleading. It comes from Bureau of Fiscal Service. It doesn't specifically say ASAP. And so I know oftentimes we get this question too. People get these emails and kind of ignore them, not realizing that they are related to their ASAP enrollment. And so one email will have their username, and then the other email will have a temporary password with the link to make those changes. Next slide, please. With that user ID and password, you then would log in to, you can go to asap.gov. It'll take you to the same screen that's on the left, where you'll enter in your user ID and password. And you see the screen on the right is the login screen for ASAP. Again, once you complete your, when you log in for the first time and you complete your security questions, change your password, you then will see the screen on the right, which is the ASAP login screen. Next slide, please. Once your enrollment is complete, and that usually takes, once your enrollment is complete, there's a process in which ASAP has to validate your banking information, and that usually can take anywhere from 7 to 10 business days. And then it's only once your banking validation is complete, we are then able to create your account and authorize funds into your account. So remember, this is like, think of it like an ATM machine, a bank account, right? So once we create the account, we then have to authorize funds into it. You will receive notifications for both. Unfortunately, ASAP does not send emails. However, there will be a notification link when you log into ASAP. And that's kind of in this screenshot, an example of what that notification will look like. And it'll tell you your account has been created, or it'll tell you that we have authorized funds into your account in the amount that has been authorized. And please note that the amount authorized into the account is only going to be the available amount that you're able to draw down. So this may be different from your award amount, which again is different from our previous legacy system with Jeepers, where you would see your award amount, any hold amounts, and then kind of what's available. ASAP is different in that it will only show you the amount that is available to draw down. So if you have any withholdings or award conditions that are withholding funds, then again, you would just see the difference of your award amount less those holds and truly what is available for you to draw down. Next slide, please. So how do you draw down funds? Right. So again, any person with the payment requester role, and only this role, will have the ability to initiate a payment request. And once that payment request is initiated, it can either settle the same day, next business day, a future date, which is the warehouse payment, or it could be immediately if you select FedWire. In very rare cases, DOJ does have the ability to add an agency review to a particular account or award. And in this case, once you submit your payment request, it would have to be approved or rejected by someone within DOJ. Again, this is a very rare case. However, if your award did fall into this category, you would see the notification saying that it's pending review. Next slide, please. So how do you initiate payment requests? So with ASAP, one thing I will note in just terms of navigation, there's tabs all across the top. You don't want to click on the tab. Clicking on the tab will result in an error message that kind of says this functionality is not currently available, which again can be confusing. So what you want to do is you kind of want to hover over the tab. So you will hover over the payment request tab, and then you will scroll down to initiate payment request. Again, you don't want to click on the tab, but you can click once you scroll down to initiate payment request. You can click on that. Next slide, please. So once you initiate the payment request, you have several steps. So the first one is you're going to select your bank account, which is that select a bank relationship. ASAP does allow you to have up to 4 bank accounts that have been validated in ASAP. So you will select which bank account you wish these funds to be deposited into. You then will select your type. It's either going to be individual or summary. Individual means that, say you're making 2 payment requests for 2 different awards, each for $10. If you select individual, then you will see 2 deposits for each for $10. If you select summary, then you will see 1 deposit for a total of $20. Again, this is completely up to you and your organization, in which how you wish to see those funds deposited. You then will select your payment method, which will either be ACH, FedWire, same-day ACH, and then your requested settlement date. This is the date that you want your funds to be deposited into your account. Again, you are eligible for same-day ACH if you are making the payment request before 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anytime after that, it's automatically going to be scheduled for next day. And again, unless you select a future date. Next slide, please. I just talked about the requested settlement dates. There is an option for a requester reference number. Again, this is optional. It's not a required field, but if you guys have some internal tracking number to your payment request, you could put that number there. Continue. Next slide, please. So here's where you're going to retrieve your accounts. And your accounts are your DOJ award numbers without the dashes. So first you would select the ALC, which is for Department of Justice. We have it listed here. So you would select that from the dropdown. And then once you select the DOJ's ALC, you either have the option to enter in your account ID or your award number, or you can just click continue and it will retrieve all of your accounts associated with DOJ. And you can make payment requests on multiple accounts at one time as opposed to having to do them individually. Next slide. So here in this case, we said retrieve all of the accounts. So this is showing all of the accounts associated with this ALC. And then you would, it will show you the status of the account, which again, it has to be open in order for you to be able to request payments. It'll show you how much is available. And then in the field to the right, you are able to enter in the amount in which you are requesting. Again, you can put multiple payment requests on here, or you can do one at a time, completely up to you. Once you enter in the amount that you wish to draw down, you can click continue. Next slide, please. The system will give you an option to review. You can also make changes from this screen. So say you made a mistake on one of the awards or realize that you don't need to draw down on that one, you can delete the amount requested or change the amount requested on this screen. And once you are sure everything is correct, you can click submit. Next slide, please. And then you will get a confirmation screen in which you can print and save as a PDF for your records. You will notice you have the payment request status to the right. Anything that says sent to funds means that it will settle the date in which you requested it. As I mentioned, if you had that agency review flag on your account, then you would see there that it's pending agency review. Next slide, please. So there are a number of inquiries that ASAP offers. I'm just going to highlight a few that I think are important or that I think has useful information for you. And we'll go over one particular one, which is how to run a payment request status inquiry. However, all of the inquiries will work exactly the same. So from here, I would say the account balance inquiry is really helpful. That's going to tell you exactly how much you have available in your account. It'll show you the total amount that has been drawn down from that account. You can run that inquiry either by an award number or account ID, or you can run it by your void, which is also your recipient organization ID, and that will retrieve all of your accounts associated with your organization, as well as all of the balances and the total sum of the drawdowns for those accounts. Another one that's really helpful is the account statement inquiry. This one, if you wanted to kind of see the transactions for each account, so you would enter in your award number or your account ID, and then you would see anytime we've authorized funds into your account, you would see each drawdown transaction with the date and the amount, as well as a summary at the bottom. That one is really helpful. And then we're going to go ahead and run this payment request status inquiry. So this is how you can kind of check the status of a payment request that you have initiated. So again, remember, we don't want to click on the tabs. We want to kind of hover over inquiries and scroll down to payment request status. We would click that. Next slide, please. And then from here is where you will enter in some required information. So for the payment request status inquiry, the only thing that's required is a date. However, you can put in the account ID if you want to focus strictly on one particular award or account ID. And then as well as you do have to put in the date range. And then just also keep in mind for ASAP, anytime you're putting in dates in any of these inquiries, they have to be a business day. If you select a Saturday or Sunday, the system will give your error message saying that it has to be a business day. And then you would select the format in which you wish to view the information. You have the options of PDF, Excel, viewing it on the screen. You can select whichever one is most convenient for you. And then you would click continue. Next slide, please. And then you have to kind of go and retrieve your results. So you would then go back up to the inquiries. You would go down to the very first icon there, which says retrieve results. You would click on that. Next slide, please. and then you'll see your inquiry there. You would click on it. As you see, in this case, we selected PDF. However, it still gives you other format options. So you can select PDF, but then if you realize, oh, I really want to look at it in Excel, you don't have to rerun the inquiry. Instead, you would just retrieve the CSV version to be able to view it in Excel. And then once you click on it, it would open up and display the information. Next slide, please. So I know this is also a popular question, and I know some of these points were touched on in the JustGrants presentation in terms of how does ASAP and JustGrants connect, right? And so in terms for JustGrants, right, it sends all of your account creation. So again, once your enrollment is complete in ASAP and your award is accepted, then the account is created in ASAP. And so it's also kind of on a 24 hours, again, by business day basis. And so once your account is created, any account modifications, so those GAMs that were covered in the JustGrants presentation, so say the project period end date gets extended, that update would be sent to ASAP as well, again, on a daily basis. And then also your account statuses in terms of if your account becomes suspended because of delinquent FFR or delinquent progress report, or if you've resolved those delinquent reports and your account status has been changed back to open, those are communicated to ASAP on a daily basis, usually in the evenings. Also on a daily basis, JustGrants calculates the ASAP available balance, right? And so remember, as I was saying, ASAP is only going to display what's available to draw down. So anytime there's a change in that available amount, a hold is added, or also that was discussed in the JustGrants presentation when withholdings are removed, then JustGrants then will calculate your new available balance, removing those holds, and then we'll communicate that to ASAP. Next slide, please. And so these are your settlement options when you're initiating your payment request, and things to keep in mind. I mentioned the same day ACHs, as long as you're requesting them before 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can get those payments same day. And they're usually will settle in your bank account by 5 p.m. There's FedWire, which is immediate same day settlement. However, you do want to check with your financial institution to see if there are any fees or charges associated with FedWire payments. And then the normal ACH that can settle the next business day, and it's usually by 8 a.m. if you select the next day ACH. And then again, ASAP is only available from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11:59 p.m. If you try to log into the system and attempt any drawdowns or inquiries outside of that time frame, you will receive an error message that the system is not currently available. I also will note that at the last 3 business days of each month, all DOJ accounts are suspended in ASAP, which means that you are not able to initiate a payment request. And this kind of allows for some reconciliations to happen with DOJ and Treasury. And this is kind of similar as our process with the legacy system with Jeepers. The last 3 business days of the month, you still were able to initiate a payment request, but we weren't processing the payments. And so with ASAP, we have to suspend the accounts, and you're not able to initiate a payment request during those last 3 business days of each month. So just a note there. I also will note that during that time, the last 3 business days of the month, there aren't any account modifications or updates during that time frame either. So if GAMs are being approved to processes or award modifications are being approved, those changes will not be communicated to ASAP until the first business day of the new month. Again, similarly how it was in Jeepers, the first business day of the new month, kind of then everything will be refreshed and the system will be updated with all of the latest changes. Lastly, the contact information. So if you have questions or issues with anything related to ASAP, please contact the DOJ OCFO Customer Service Help Desk. That has our hours from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can send an email or you can choose to call. I will say, oftentimes you want to go directly to the ASAP Help Desk. I would encourage that you only contact the ASAP Help Desk directly if you're having issues with your user ID and or password. If you try to contact the ASAP help desk with anything outside of that, unfortunately, most likely they're going to reroute you back to DOJ. So it's best that you just contact us first. Anything related to balances in your account or your account not showing in ASAP or anything like that, send us an email with your award number, and we will be happy to assist you.
So we're coming to the end of today's session, but before we leave, let's take a look at the next steps. Your feedback is really important to us. So take a few moments to complete our webinar evaluation survey by clicking the link provided in a chat below. To contact the Virtual Support Center or the VSC, you can email us at ojptfsc@usdoj.gov. And a response usually takes 24 hours or the next business day to get a response. You can also schedule a consultation call with the financial specialist with details provided in a chat below. Check out our website at ojp.gov/TFSC and sign up for our listserv with the details linked in the chat below. Does anyone have any questions? Sign up to receive OJP TFSC emails with the link provided in the chat below. Our next event is Learning Exchange Training Series number 2 with the focus on financial management. It's being held on Tuesday, August 31st, 2021 at 10 a.m. ADT time. And you can register for that session with the link provided in the chat below. Does anyone have any questions? So no questions. Thank you all for joining today's session. Have a good day, and you may now disconnect.